So what is line weight and why is it important? Line weight is important for two reasons. One, that it needs to make your rod flex, because when you cast a fly rod, the line needs to bend that rod enough to build up some energy to drive it out there. Now, I have a 4-weight rod here. 4-weight is a fairly light line. It's used for smaller flies, and a 4-weight line gives you a lot of delicacy when you put a fly on the water, so it doesn't spook fish, it doesn't land very hard, and that's great. And this 4-weight rod handles this 4-weight line really well. Manufacturers build their rods to a specific line weight. Now, if I were throwing a really big heavy fly, then I might want to go to a 5 or a 6 or even a 7-weight rod, because the bigger mass of those heavier fly lines will throw those bigger or more air resistant flies better. But here, for this rod, I'm going to fish small flies, nice delicate presentation, and the rod handles the line really well. Even in this wind we have today, I can make a nice cast and I can deliver that fly where I want it to go with this 4-weight. Now, can you overline a fly rod? Yes, you can overline a fly rod. I could probably put a 5-weight on here and be okay. What's gonna happen when you overline a fly rod is that it's gonna slow down the rod a little bit. The rod's gonna bend a little bit more. Casting motions might be a little bit easier, but you're gonna struggle on longer casts. So you can overweight a rod by about 1 line size, depending on the manufacturer. You have to try each rod with a heavier line. Now, can you underline a fly rod? That's a different question. When you underline a fly rod, that fly rod isn't gonna flex enough. It's not gonna develop that energy. When you underline a fly rod, you're gonna have to work harder. You're gonna have to push that rod to get that line out there. So underlining isn't such a great idea. Overlining by 1 size may work okay for you. So let's put a 5-weight line on this 4-weight rod, see how it works, and then we'll put a 6-weight line on here and see how that looks. Okay, so now I've got a 5-weight line on this 4-weight rod, and it's pretty pleasant. Got a lot of wind, I can still drive it into the wind, but when I start to pull more line and try to make a long cast, the rod is gonna start bending a little bit more, and it's gonna put a little bit more stress on that rod. It's not gonna hurt the rod, but I'm just gonna struggle when I'm trying to throw a really long cast. So great in short distances, gonna work just fine. I kinda like it. I still like the 4-weight line better, but the 5-weight line will definitely work on this rod. So now I have a 6-weight line on a 4-weight rod. Let's see how this goes. So again, just like with the 5, in short, it's fine. You know, if I'm 15, 20 feet out there, yeah, it works well. Let's pull a little bit more line off here and see what happens. And it's working. You can make it work, but it's starting to flex that rod a little bit too much. It's starting to bounce a little bit. It's kind of overloading that rod, and I can see where, you know, I wouldn't want to fish this all day long, but you know, you can make it work. If that's all you got, it depends on the fly rod, depends on the design of the rod, but some rods will handle a couple of line sizes. Now I'm purposely underlining a rod. I've got my 4-weight line on my 6-weight rod. See how that goes. And yeah, you know, you can make it work. You can throw this 4-weight line on this 6-weight rod, but I really have to force the rod to get that rod to bend, because there just isn't enough mass to bend the rod, and the rod really has to bend for you to cast properly. So I have to push it. I have to push it a little bit harder. And yeah, you could fish this way for a day. You could make it work, but it's hard work. It's a struggle. You just have to to get that rod to bend, you just have to push that rod harder. So you can underline a rod, you can overline a rod within one line size, not too bad. But if you're gonna err in one direction, I would go with overlining a rod by a line size, or maybe two, depending on the rod. Did you get all that? Ah, too bad. Well, we got the fish anyway.